Hey guys, welcome here, it's Rachich with a new video, and in this video I want to show you my maybe fastest Sanctum runner ever. I mean with 150 million DPS and around 300 movement speed, so it's kinda Sanctum destroyer. But before I get into the details and you start building it, let me warn you that this build is only for experienced Sanctum runners, because we have only 800 life, so you can get one shot if you're a beginner. So yeah, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget about my Twitch, because like I stream there every day. Thank you so much. Let's start with how much this build costs. It's hard to say exactly, but with the same gear as mine, the approximate cost is around 700 divines or like 1.2 mirrors. So yeah, this build is quite expensive, but what else can you expect for this kind of speed and 115 million DPS? With this build, I personally can run in Sanctum in about 9 minutes, which is very fast and comfortable. So I mean, you can just run 6 Sanctums an hour with this build. Crazy, right? Due to its questionable survivability, I might die once out of 10 runs, which is fine since we're running very fast, and yeah, just I don't care about it. So if you have the budget and wanted to make a really strong and fast Sanctum runner, congratulations, you're found it. And of course this build kills bosses as well in a couple of seconds, so yeah, you can farm some bosses with this build as well. So okay, I've introduced the build and you're just excited, and now let's talk about the gear. This build is about power charges, so we have 11 power and frenzy charges, and that's why we use Void Battery Wand, Malachite's Loop with +1 level of socketed gems, it's important for Enlighten, and Badge of the Brotherhood with Relocation Patience here. All of these items gives us power charges or improves them, I mean gives more damage. And yeah, let's talk about other items. My helmet is the Water's Devotion, and I mean it's maybe the best helmet for this build because it gives us a lot of movement speed, and I have +1 power charges in implicit, so yeah, it scales my damage as well. Next is, since we have the Badge of the Brotherhood, our number of frenzy charges equals our number of power charges. Because of this, we use Replica Restless Ward body armor, which grants 6% movement speed per 1 frenzy charge, and yeah, it's kind of like 66% bonus movement speed. Crazy, right? I have +2 AoE gems implicit on the body armor, which costs around 20 divines, and it significantly increases our damage. So if your budget allows, get the same. Also in this build we use Profane Proxy Ring in the right slot with Frostbite Curse inside, or it can be with Elemental Weakness, but yeah, I have Frostbite, and this ring make it so that the shotgun effect from our Skitterbots aura automatically applies Frostbite. And the belt I use in this build is of course Mage Blood, which greatly increases our movement speed and allows us to use Righteous Fire for increased spell damage, as we have 80% fire resistance, so we don't die because of Righteous Fire. Besides all the unique items in this build, we have 2 rare ones. Gloves with strength, life, resistances, increased damage with hits against shield enemies, and crafted damage during any flask effect. All these mods are essential on the glows, as well as Eldritch Implicit, Cold Exposure on hit, and increases damage per frenzy charge. So yeah, you should have something like this. About the rare ring, it should be a ring with Elemental Weakness on hit and implicit, or it can be Frostbite on hit, but then we use Elemental Weakness together with Profane Proxy, but yeah, I have Elemental Weakness. As for the mods, we have Global Crit Multi, which we enhance with Catalyst for critical strikes. We have Maximum Life and Resistances. Crafting such a ring is pretty simple, you just need to buy a base with Curse and Implicit and use Essences of Scorn, I mean, yeah, it should be Scorn, for crit multi and until you get life and resistances. And about flasks, all the flasks have crafted increased effects and gain no charges during the effects, as well as an increased effect mod on magic flasks. So I have my unique Botlet Phase for crit chance and more damage, Quicksilver with 14% movement speed and increased effect, Ruby Flask with crafted 3% life regen, which we absolutely need to not die because of Righteous Fire and also increased effect, Silver Flask with increased critical strike chance during effect and 25% increased effect as well. And the last one is Jade Flask for defense with additional elemental resistances during effect and just increased effect. In simple words, crit chance, maximum fire res, movement speed, resistances, this is what you should target. So we're done with items and flasks, and now let's briefly talk about the passive tree. I'm currently level 96, which is why I have only 143 million DPS instead of 150. And on the passive tree I have 2 Voices large cluster jewels with 3 passives which grant napping, and also there should be 6 identical medium cluster jewels, but I have only 5 because of level with Guerrilla Tactics and Surprise Sabotage. In this build, to have max level Steel Skin and Petrified Blood skill gems, we need to have 155 strength or more, which is why in addition to strength on glows, it should be on medium cluster jewels or on the passive tree. I personally have my strength on my medium cluster jewels as well. Also in this build we use Militant Phase Timeless Jewel by High Templar Dominus with increased effect of non-curse auras, and I have reduced mana cost of attacks you may not need reduced mana cost of attacks, and instead craft non-channeling skills have -7 total mana cost on the rare ring if you have free prefix. So we need this Militant Phase Jewel to get Inner Conviction big passive here, which gives 3% more spell damage per power charge, and before buying and summon this jewel, first you need to copy paste this jewel into your Patho building to check that it doesn't alter the node with +1 maximum power charge. They're really cheap, so it's easy to pick one and buy. Next, what I wanted to talk about on the passive tree is we have the Adorned Unique Jewel in this build, which increases the effect of our Corrupted Magic Jewels, and its price varies a lot depending on the role. I have one at 87% and I bought it for around 15 divines, and there are cheaper and more expensive ones. Choose whatever you can afford. Since we have the Adorned in this build, it means we need many Corrupted Magic Jewels, and I personally have 6 of them. So always critical strike multiplier and increase man throwing speed, but remember, only magic and only corrupted. I just bought Cobalt Jewels with Fractured to Crit Multi and rolled my throwing speed using Orb of alterations, then used Val Orb. But there's a 50-50 chance of breaking the items, so it's up to you whether to buy or craft. In this build we also have Watcher's Eye with mods for damage well affected by Zealotry, so just buy something like this. And the last thing on the passive tree I want to mention is a small tattoo of the Remeko Fleetfoot with 2% increased movement speed, so yeah, we just exchange 10 dexterity for 2% movement speed. Small but nice. Now briefly about skill gems. I don't want to spend time explaining every skill gem in this build and what to link it with, because you have my Patho building, so just copy it, please, and I will mention what's not obvious at first glance. So in this build we have 6 auras. Petrified Blood for defense, Tempest Shield for chance to block, Summon Skitterboss for chill and frostbite, Vitality for life regen to not die because of Righteous Fire, and Affirmation with Phase Run for increased movement speed, and Steel Skin for additional defense, and of course Detonate Mines. We also have Zealotry Aura that we need to recast every about 10 seconds because we use it with Guardian's Blessing support, which allows us to activate the aura without mana reservation if we have Raised Spectre, which loses else every second. And that's why we have one Spectre in this build, specifically Dark Marionette, which costs about 5k Absorb, so it's like pretty cheap, and it automatically respawns after its death, so we can constantly reactivate Zealotry every few seconds. We also have 3 curses in this build, but we don't need to self-cast them. We have Elemental Weakness and Frostbite on rings, and Arcanist Brand with Assassin's Mark for crit multi, which we only use in boss fights. What else might interest you, as we activate Righteous Fire at the start of each room in the Sanctum or before a boss fight for increased spell damage, Beard Trap we throw where the boss pounds to increase mind damage, so yeah, pretty easy. And that's it, just copy my skill gems and you'll be fine. And now I'll tell you a bit about the playstyle with this build. At the start of the room, as I said before, we activate Righteous Fire, also activate Zealotry, and simply run while throwing our Hexblast mines in spots where guards are or nearby, since Hexblast targets nearby enemies as well. Try not to get hit more than once or twice to avoid dying. In boss fights it's even easier. Activate Zealotry with Righteous Fire, throw all of your mines, Arcanist Brand and Beard Trap, and that's it. Or just throw more mines if just boss didn't die. So about Lycia fight, I mean her first stage, when she attacks you with the big AoE red circle, you should stay far away, I mean in the corner, or you will be dead just in one shot. So yeah, keep it in mind, I warned you. As for what to do in rooms with fireball traps, you need to learn to dodge them without totems. Just run straight between the 2 fireball trajectories and they will not hit you. Maybe once or twice, but it's not critical. Besides guards who can kill us if they hit us with a strong ability, be careful in the fight with Lycia because any of her attacks can kill us. So that's why I warned you that this build is for experienced players only, so don't blame me for anything. I mean personally, I've already run dozens of Sanctums with this build and died only once or twice, and even then it was my fault because I was reading the chat on stream. In my opinion, this is the best choice if you like farming the Sanctum and want to do it faster and more enjoyable. So yeah, this build is awesome. Thank you for watching guys, I hope you like this build and appreciate how many videos I make for you by liking and subscribing. And man, please don't forget about Twitch, it's really fun there. I really try to stream almost every day. And if you want to support me, my channel, because I'm broke as fuck, you can subscribe to my Patreon and I'll be very happy. So it was Rachel as always guys, you're the best. Thank you so much, see you soon, bye.